We have Karen leading our leaders panel.
Thank you so much. So before we do that, I'm going to ask all of you, go ahead and turn off your cameras and stretch and grab a glass of water or I know we've been sitting here for about an hour and a half plus. I know David didn't get a chance to completely finish everything, so don't hesitate to put questions in the chat so that he can continue to answer them while you're listening to our guest speakers who are going to be joining us today. I am really excited. These folks are friends and new friends who are amazing Latino leaders in our community. And so I just want to make sure, I'm going to do a little mini roll call, make sure that Clemente Mojica, are you on the call? Want to make sure you can unmute yourself.
Yes, I am. Hi.
Awesome. Heidi Marshall.
Hi there, I'm here.
Marcelino Serna.
Presente and accounted for.
Jose Quintero.
Hola, ¿qué tal?
Muy bien, gracias. And I will be your moderator today. I am Karen Suarez. I am the Assistant Vice President of Community Development for Wells Fargo. And I also have the privilege of serving as Vice Chair for the Latino Alumni Chapter. So I do, go ahead and go on to next slide. I do have some fun questions for our panelists, but I also really want to encourage you to please take advantage of asking questions in this chat. These folks have really interesting jobs and careers, and have also had a number of interesting and wonderful experiences throughout their career. So we're going to start, well, I'm going to go ahead and just briefly, so Clemente is the CEO of Neighborhood Partnership Housing Services. For our government sector, we have Heidi Marshall, who's the Director of Housing, Homelessness Prevention and Workforce Solutions for the County of Riverside. We have Jose Quintero from our media sector, who's also a producer and our talent for Cali Mornings con Angelica Vale on Cali 93.9. And sorry, I call Marcelino, we know him as Mars Serna. He's a really great friend of ours. He's Vice President of the Fontana Unified School District. And then of course, I already introduced myself. So we're gonna go in order of how I have you all listed here today, team. And we're gonna do really quick, a round robin of these questions. So Clemente, we're gonna start with you. Year you graduated, degree you obtained, the number of years in your industry, and the number of jobs you've had before you got to where you are today.
Righty. Hi, everybody. So Clemente Arturo Mojica. I graduated from Eisenhower High School in 1991, and I graduated from Cal State San Bernardino in 1996. I achieved a political science degree with a concentration in public policy and 2 minors added to that, English and paralegal studies. What was the other part of the question, Karen?
The number of years in the industry and the number of jobs you've had.
Oh my gosh, okay. So I'm enjoying 21 years working in the community and economic development industry, particularly in the private nonprofit affordable housing sector. I've held 3 jobs spanning 11 years before I became the CEO of NPHS.
Awesome, thank you. Heidi?
Hi there, I graduated from Cal State San Bernardino in 2003 with a master's in public administration. I have been in the government sector since the year 2000. Right before that, I was in the nonprofit sector and held about 4 jobs before I got the position that I now have today.
Awesome. Jose?
Hola, ¿qué tal? My name is Jose Quintero, and let me see, I graduated from Cal State San Bernardino back in 2014, then I graduated in 2017 with my master's in business administration. I had, let me see, 1, 2, 3 job positions before I got to the position that I'm currently in, and I've been in about 4 years in the media industry.
Awesome. Mars?
Good morning, everybody. Mars Serna. Just a brief background. So graduated from Norte Vista High School in 1985. I feel like I'm the oldest one in this group. Riverside Community College in 1998. Cal State San Bernardino alumni from 2001, and then University of Redlands in 2014. My degree at Cal State was in public administration, and then my degree at University of Redlands was in business management. As far as jobs, so I've been in the public sector. I was just reflecting because you made me do this, Karen. 37 years total. I've worked in 6 different school systems and 3 municipalities. If I was to name them all, if I have the time, I would, but I know we don't have that much time, so I won't go through all of them.
Awesome. Well, and you know, and I've deviated a lot actually from your experiences as well, because so I graduated from Etiwanda High School and then went to Cal State, right, and graduated in 07. So psychology and human development, dual BA. And I've been in community development for about 10 years, but I have had 4 full-time professional jobs before coming to this one, but I've had 7 like paraprofessional and internship jobs prior to jumping to that first full-time career over a decade ago. So I love hearing how, you know, I want you all to know that this is never linear, lots of different experiences bouncing to different sectors to gain skill sets. And so it's always great to hear the diversity of experience in our community. So next quick response. So best advice you received from someone before or after you graduated. What was the advice? So the one piece of advice, and who was it from? Was it like a mentor or a family member? So comente.
All right. Well, you know, my biggest mentor has always been my mom. So I'm an immigrant from El Salvador. So my mom would always tell me, and to this day, she still says it, mira, mijo, tienes que hacer honesto, positivo, proactivo y productivo en tu vida. Porque las pupusas no se hacen ellas mismas y no mienten. Saben bien o saben mal. And in English, you got to be honest, positive, proactive, and productive, because pupusas, that's just a cultural food from El Salvador. They don't make themselves and they don't lie. They either taste good or bad. And to this day, I mean, those ideals of honesty, positivity, proactivity, and have always been ingrained in my DNA, and I try to pass this along as much as I can.
Thank you. Heidi. Oh, you're still on mute. There we go.
Okay, best advice, right as I was graduating from Cal State in 2003, came from my boss at the Housing Authority. Her name is Mary, and Mary said, the best thing you can do is learn a little about a lot and not know so much about any one thing, because as she was looking for people to promote within the organization, she was looking for a generalist, somebody who knew how to tackle things, but not necessarily be the most technically proficient person in any one area. And it has worked very well for me since then.
That's great. Awesome. Jose?
Hello. Okay, so I think a lot of us expect that our Latino parents to be, you know, the person who motivates us. But since I wanted to work in media so much, it was also hard for Latino parents to understand that. So the best advice that I got was from my mentors at the Career Center, which was Leslie Davidson Boyd, she still works there, Claudia Estrada, and Sarai Maldonado. So basically they said, it doesn't matter who it is, whether it's a family member or somebody else, I believe in you, keep doing what you're doing, keep pushing yourself. And it was literally those words that just kind of inspire you to continue on. So I know it's very simple, but just the fact that somebody else was believing in you is motivation enough.
Thank you. Mars?
Wow, that's a tough question, Karen. I was reflecting a little bit. You know, my mom had a 3rd grade education from Spain. And so she would always tell me, you know, mijo, quiero que agarres tu educación. And I never really understood what she was saying back then. And, you know, she would always tell me things in Spanish all the time, like, you know, quiero que aprendas a hacer esto para que no dependas a ninguna vieja. So her translation on that was, I'm teaching you how to do all these things because I don't want you to depend on any woman. And I'm very grateful to her for that. But there have been so many different individuals that have jumped in my life in the last 37 years. I think back to my days at Cal State San Bernardino when we talk about networks. Rest in peace, Dr. David Bellis. Many of you that graduated back in those 99s, 2000s, 2001s, remember Dr. David Bellis. That guy was a public servant and a dean of public administration, and he would just tell it how it was. I was having a conversation with a friend earlier today about why aren't we just being real sometimes about the politics and the things that happen within our systems. And so he was one of those. But throughout my government work in the city of Riverside and Alvord Unified, in the Fontanas, San Bernardinos of the world, and then, lastly, in my political career, my wife, who is my rock, she has been a great mentor in many ways around being a strategic individual. And so I'm not very strategic, she is. So I can name a whole bunch, but just to go down a list of people, that's a short list right now.
Thank you. Yeah, I think for me, the best advice that was given to me that has really helped build up my confidence in my abilities, and also in my ability to share my personal experiences with others, have been to just be myself. Like, best advice, Karen, just be yourself. So I appreciate the mentors in my life that have given me that advice in one way, shape, or form. So next question, back to you, Clemente. Name one thing you would tell your undergraduate self if you could go back in time.
It'd probably be, don't be afraid to take more risk and to explore. I wish I would have taken more time to look at my undergraduate experience as a journey to learn more about myself as a human being, more about, what my passions are and what I like and what I don't like. And so that's what I would have, if I go back in time, I tell myself, don't be afraid to take more risk and to explore.
Heidi?
For me, it would be, don't be discouraged if something that you really, really wanted doesn't work out. It's just, I think we all learned that at some point in our lives. And of course, it was my mom that would always tell me, it's not always going to happen. There's going to be a better thing for you coming up right around the corner. And she's always been right.
Jose?
Awesome. Okay. I thought about this question a lot, and honestly, I don't think I would go back and tell my younger self anything, just because the adversity that I had to go through has made me who I am right now. But the thing that I would tell younger people, younger students, is to get involved more. I think getting involved within your community, within your university, just expands your network and your horizon in terms of knowing different things. So do that.
Yeah, I hear you. And for me, I think I would tell myself is to get to know yourself, well, really know your values, really know where you're just not gonna compromise, because it helps you make better decisions about what you're gonna pursue, what jobs you're gonna go after, what kind of things you're gonna prioritize in your life. And I think that those times of self-exploration are critically important. So I am really curious to hear from you all too, like, in your industries, you all have diverse experiences. I know some of you have managed staff and are really looking to planning for their future. So what kinds of experiences should students and alumni in 2020 and beyond, what kind of experiences do they need to have to prepare them for economic uncertainties, careers, or entrepreneurship? And any one of you can take that. So just go ahead and chime in.
Hey, Karen, and I didn't get to answer that last question.
Oh, I'm
I don't know
so
if you
sorry,
wanted
Mars.
me to
Yes, I do. Yes, I apologize.
answer that, because I did prepare my answer a little bit, and I hate to not be able to give it.
No, you need to share that, please.
So I'm with Jose on his answer a little bit. When I left high school, I went straight to college at UCR, and so many people don't know I was a college dropout. I was not successful at all. So I worked hard in the restaurant industry. I also did work in construction. And so I did a lot of hard labor work when I was young. And I kept thinking, like, I don't know if this is what I want to do the rest of my life. And so I started going back to my mom's, theory of education. And so it took me 10 years to get through RCC just to get to Cal State San Bernardino. And people don't know that part of the story. And I think that everyone's journey is different. So like Jose said, I wouldn't change that because those experiences of me going 10 years through RCC, not being able to get classes, begging counselors to put me in things, having me, can I do independent study instead of this, like having to advocate to get this education was a process that taught me strong values and things. So I just want people that are on this call today to know that your educational journey will not be the same of any of us on this panel. But if our experiences connects to you, you know you have people in the community that'll help support you and push you through. So I just wanted to put that into context of why I think that question was important for me. So thank you for allowing me to answer that.
And did you want to answer the next one too and get us started?
So remind me of that question again one more time, Karen. I'm so sorry.
No, you're fine. What kind of experiences should students and alumni in 2020 and beyond have to prepare them for economic uncertainties, careers, or entrepreneurship?
You know, so I am an old guy, right? So I've had to transition from the days of no internet to now the internet. And so I've had to embrace every era from the flip, well, the big brick phone of cell phones, to now I see Samsung has come back with a flip phone. If you haven't noticed that, it's $1,300 and it's the first iteration. So I'm not going to get it. But think about those of us that are older here that went through those experiences, right? Even just starting at the flip phone. So I think even though right now we're in this COVID crisis, our young people are so well equipped when it comes to things like technology. Like here we are today building capacity through Zoom. Having us all on a call. And I think many times it's much easier for us to be able to jump on a Zoom call than for me to have gotten up, drive to Cal State San Bernardino, figure out what I'm going to say. This sometimes becomes a great venue. I'm not saying it should only be the venue, but I think our graduates from 2020 are well prepared in those areas. What I feel, and this is an opinion now, is that many of our social skills that us older dogs have learned, our youth have not because of technology. So like I have a son who's 15 who's a gamer. So he's on a headset all day long, yelling at his friends, calling them names and doing all these crazy things, right? And then they see each other in the community face to face and they don't say a word to each other. And I think to myself, what the hell? You just was yelling at your friend, calling him names, cussing him out on the headset, and then you see each other in person, you don't say a word. So I think that those are the kind of transferable skills that our graduates from 2020 right now need to be able to embrace, is those social skills, those transferable skills that those of you that spoke earlier of jobs, that when you get into that interview, you're able to sell yourself. Because at the end of the day, people want to know who you are, what you can do, what soft skills do you have that are transferable in the job. It doesn't matter what your degree is in. At least for me, it wasn't. I've been in public service and in public administration, and that's what my degree is, but I didn't figure that out until I was an adult. That's when I decided to go to college. Remember, my graduation year for Cal State is 2001. If you do the math from 1985 to 2001, that's a long time. A lot of experiences without that BA degree. So I just want people to put that into context, that learn those soft skills, those social skills.
All right. I want to say something on that end too. I guess what I can encourage everybody to do right now is, especially if you want to go into the media entertainment industry, I remember when I was trying so hard to try to work with Univision. So that was the job I had prior. I was a producer for Omar y Argelia, a radio show here in Los Angeles. I was trying so hard, knocking on so many doors, doing so many interviews, and getting rejected. It wasn't until I decided to take my own I guess, faith into my own hands. And I decided to start doing skills that I didn't think I had. I started doing YouTube. I started doing podcasting. I started, doing more presentations because I needed to be more outspoken. I needed to be able to speak in front of people, speak in front of a camera. So these are all skills that you can learn on your own. So I definitely encourage everybody and anybody, if you want to go into entertainment, if you want to go into media, start on your own, because sometimes those are the transferable skills that you are going to take into the entertainment industry.
Karen, what I would say in my experience, I like to learn by reading. And so I, at one point in my life, was known as the self-help queen. I would read every self-help book there was, and that's how I learned how to buy a new car, how to buy a house, and how to ace an interview, how to get promoted, and all of those things. But in today's world, what I would say for somebody, especially somebody who's in the government field and looking to maybe start in this field or grow in this field, I would make sure that you are connecting with somebody who can be a champion in your career. I would seek and meet people in this profession just to build your network. Try to use this time to build relationships. You don't need to do it in person. It can be done virtually. And then join organizations that are working in the communities that you want to make an impact in, so that you can start learning about what's important and involving yourself as part of the solution.
Thank you. Clemente, did you want to?
Sure, yeah. You know, along the lines with Heidi, you know, our socioeconomic landscape is always changing. So, I mean, one thing's for certain is that there's always will be uncertainty, right? I mean, look where we're at now. We're freaking, we have a pandemic in our backdrop, civil unrest, and so forth. So, you know, I'm a strong believer in building personal safety nets. So along the lines with Heidi, you know, if it's creating stronger relationships, building more powerful networks, diversifying your skill set. Don't anchor yourself to a job description. That's the worst thing you can go ahead and do if you're planning to work for an organization that you think it's going to be innovative and advance a lot of social policies. But build your personal safety nets. They have many shapes and forms, but they will catch you. I think this will allow you to take a lot more risk, explore a little bit more. But I mean, think about that concept of building personal safety nets around you.
Thank you, Clemente. You know, one thing too is that I see these growing industries and fields, right, that didn't exist, you know, before. And so I have a lot of curiosity. So I think folks should really pursue that curiosity. If you're curious about something that's outside of even your own, you know, the degree you studied for, or if you're interested in something that's totally opposite, like I've seen artists who, you know, are doing cybersecurity and, you know, but it's two things that they're really passionate about. I do think that it's great for students and alumni to explore those interests that fall outside of what you've traditionally been used to. And really expanding your experiences that way. Even if it means taking a class, or something, you know, something that our colleges of extension are offering that will help with expanding your own skill set and your own understanding of those new and upcoming industries. Like I'm really fascinated with clean tech, and I have no expertise in that area whatsoever.
Karen, can I add something real quick, just to the group? I think what you just said is making sure that throughout your career that you stay relevant. And I think that's an important piece to understand. For me, I'm also an entrepreneur. So aside from working in public service, I've also owned my own business. I started as a DJ. I've had to evolve the DJ profession. If you think about the time when it was vinyl and then it all digitized and now everyone has music on their phone, you have to evolve to be able to continue to do that business. I was also a notary, and now I do woodworking. And so I did this just because it's something to do with my hands. But what I'm saying is that use those skills to become relevant in the age. And if you continue to do that, you will be successful through your career.
Yeah, thank you for that. So other question was, what kind of jobs or experiences that you had that prepared you for your leadership role in your organizations that you least expected would actually help you?
I'll start. I was a receptionist. It was one of my first jobs, and I think I learned everything I needed to learn about humans, customer service, how to do things, how to get along with others, how to make sure you're doing and taking care of the things that customers expect. And that is as transferable a skill as you're ever going to have.
I'll answer one of those if possible. So I just said earlier I was a DJ, and so I hated public speaking. When I was at RCC, that was one of the classes I had to take, Public Speaking 101, and I hated it. But being a DJ and like Jose being in the entertainment industry, you have to get on a microphone and be able to announce a wedding party. You have to be able to introduce the parents and the whole bridal party and those kind of things. And so that allowed me to get out of my space. And I was an introvert. People think now as an adult that I'm an extrovert, and I'm really not. I'm actually embracing this pandemic. When I've been home for the last 4 months and not been around people, I have actually thrived. Trust me, it's been great for me. But at the end of the day, you still have to be able to code switch through processes. And so the DJ portion of my entrepreneur skills helped me become a better public speaker. So I would say that would be a part that I never thought would happen for me.
Yeah. I'll go next. I think one thing that I learned back when I was in college and I was given the opportunity to work under the Career Center for an event that they had, I had to do a lot of cold calling. And basically what that does, and I was a business major, so I was like, okay, cool, this is something that I want to go into. But the cold calling experience really helped me, you know, work on my elevator speech. And it also helped me brand myself. And I think personal branding, when you're trying to get into entertainment industry, is huge. You have to, that's why I went into marketing, because I wanted to learn, yes, how to market products, but at the end of the day, I wanted to market myself. So I think cold calling, which is so random, helped me a lot.
Clemente?
Yeah, you know, what Mar said resonated a lot with me because, you know, I'm in the job of helping underserved people in marginalized communities, right? Everything that we do is risky. That's all about lifting people up. There's nothing not risky about sticking your neck out to helping the communities grow and thrive, right? There are just so many disparities. We tackle, you know, racial disparities in racial wealth and social justice and housing justice. So I could not do what I am doing now if I would not be more entrepreneurial and think from a social innovation perspective. How can we create more social enterprises? How can we create niches in markets? You know, how can we help underserved people? And the reason they're underserved is because there's a gap in services and a gap in wealth creation and intergenerational wealth to advance those folks. So for me, I think that embracing more of my work from an entrepreneurial lens and social innovation lens has helped me a lot, and I can tell it right now. If I didn't have those skill set or that mindset, I cannot effectively lead my organization for growth and just general overall impact in helping people.
Yeah, thank you for that. You know, my experiences that are really similar to actually Heidi's and Jose's is I worked I worked as a receptionist and I also worked as actually for our fundraising, I was on the call center calling donors for Cal State. And so learning how to have those conversations with donors and really helped me with my my career that I had with the Heart Association doing fundraising, you know, being a student caller, asking for money and, you know, sharing my own personal experiences and why I'm passionate. That really, it did. I never thought that I would ever use that skill set. And then I didn't know you could get a job in fundraising. So all of these jobs that I kind of fell into throughout my career, based on, you know, being a receptionist and serving in our call center, I was just so grateful for having that foundational work. So I hear you on that. So other questions. Actually, do we have any questions in the chat that I haven't seen? Like, folks, please feel free to ask questions. It could be about anything. They're all, our panels has some amazing experience and all representing different industries. I do have one more question that talks about like what are the top transferable skills you're looking for when you're hiring an employee, or even top transferable skills you recommend folks to have when they're transitioning into your sectors?
Mm-hmm. I could give a start on that one because there's no question about it for us. I mean, we consider ourselves an organic organization that quickly adapts to the needs of our communities in order to really go ahead and keep connected with the folks that we're serving. So, I mean, you have to be able to quickly adapt to change or be an agent of change. And those are one of the big skill sets we look at in when we look at hiring, when we look at top skills for a potential candidate, because we don't look for somebody that comes in and is anchored to a job description. We want somebody that can think outside the job description.
Mm-hmm.
When I look to hire somebody, I look for the right mixture of competence and character. So is somebody going to check the box with regard to the technical skills, the know-how in home ownership, rental assistance programs, being able to help somebody find a job. But most importantly for me is, how do they treat the public? How do they, are they empathetic? Do they do what they say they're going to do? Do they care about the community that they're serving? And that is what's important to me. I'll tell you though, the thing that makes a difference, and that I've noticed in only very few people that made a difference in my career, was somebody who cared enough to make a difference in the place where they're currently at. So a very easy question, something that anyone can do in the work that they find themselves in, is remind yourself every few months to go to your supervisor or your manager or the director of the company and just ask them, what is the biggest challenge you're facing now? And then ask yourself, how can I help them meet that challenge or figure that challenge out?
Yeah.
Karen, I'd like to chime in. I think for me is, no matter what position you hold or are trying to aspire to hold, that you always have the ethic of care. You know, that you care for your fellow person next to you, that you care, you know, in this social justice aspect that we have right now. Too many times we forget about just love, care, and empathy for other people. And so if you're going to be working in a social setting, whether it's the public sector, education, you know, that's the realm that I come from, you're serving students, you're serving the parents, you're serving stakeholders across the niche of education. And when I say stakeholders, that's many of you that are in this group right here that are working in, you know, eradicating poverty or doing entertainment or doing these different things that you're doing. So the ethic of care, just understanding what that means. I know that if you're in a healthcare profession, people sign what's called a Hippocratic oath. In education, we don't sign that, but if you have that kind of ideology, you will be successful in anything that you do.
I think for the entertainment industry, like, yes, everything that my colleagues are saying resonates. You have to be empathetic, especially I work in radio, so every day we reach thousands of people. So we have to be aware of our community needs. We have to be there for our community. We have to be the voice of the voiceless. Skills that you definitely should know, I think right off the bat, just because you're working in media, is all the social media platforms. Those are transferable to any job. You could be the person who presents a new idea. You know, younger generations are now on TikTok, Instagram. You know, there's so many things that you could do to be creative and to create your own platform. But definitely have a personality if you want to go into radio or television. Definitely, you know, just do as much as you can, learn as much as you can, whether it be technical, whether it be in front of a camera, whether it be behind a mic.
Yeah, that's all awesome advice. You know, in the corporate business sector, there's so many different job opportunities that, I mean, it just depends on what you're looking for. And so I always think like the best thing to do is to find a mentor with the specific, you know, especially with the specific roles that you want to have, and find out from them, one, like, what's the culture of the organization, to see if it's going to fit for you, and then take your skill set and see if that's going to fit, if that's going to align. I think some of the transferable skills, I think about listening. Listening is like the biggest. Active listening is one of the most important things that we can do as we are trying to get into a sector that we haven't been in yet. And for me, this is my first time in corporate America, so it's just been a great learning experience. I love the fact that it's, you know, the same things you're all saying about love and having empathy and having an understanding of who we're serving. All of those things are also critical in this space, but also the technical things, which will definitely vary by whichever position folks will pursue. So really, really appreciate it. We got some good questions here, and what advice or tips would you give for getting a mentor?
I would just say ask. Look towards somebody that you admire, and literally what I did, I went and asked. I said, hey, I love what you're doing. I need a mentor. I'm looking for guidance. Would you be willing to be my mentor? That's literally how I did it. But it takes guts to just ask.
I think for me, I've been fortunate that people have latched on to something about me. I don't know what it is, because I'm ugly as hell, but people have seen that, you know, hey, I want to invest time in you. So you have to show that you really have something, like Jose had said earlier about, you know, marketing yourself. So when you market yourself, people sometimes show an interest, and organically you're going to have mentors that pop into your life. At least for me, I've had mentors just pop in organically. I've really had to ask. So I think if you're able to do that and connect, stay in networks that are probably in areas of like, but also find mentors that will challenge you. Because one of the things that I enjoy in my circle is that I think a certain way, right? But there's others that think their way and they have their perspective. And so like Karen said earlier, when you listen to those perspectives, it allows you to grow and learn. And then you get into those gray areas of discussion and discourse. Instead of saying, you know, everybody on the right is wrong, everybody on the left is wrong, and you're all enemies. How do we bring people together in that gray area to have discourse and conversations for social change? So if you could do that organically, mentors are going to come to you.
Yeah. And I'd like to add that you can have various mentors. So, you know, you can have 4, 5, 10. There's no limit.
Very true. Very true. And it depends on what you're doing, right? Like if you're in the job space, you're going to have mentors that'll help you from your career standpoint. From a personal space, you got to have people that can, again, tell you the truth. Don't find mentors, this is just my criticism, that tell you everything's wonderful, because, you know, you're really not that good. All right. We all have room for improvement. So have people that are in your lives that'll give you constructive criticism that you can take it, because sometimes people can't take the criticism. So you got to be able to take the criticism and then move forward to learn from that. So I think that's important. So I like that, Jose, that have different mentors from different, you know, parts of your life.
I do think you have to do some research and look for somebody who you admire, that you think highly of, and then find out why that is. What is it about them that drew you to them? And then use that information to reach out to them and ask if they would have the opportunity and the time to invest in seeing someone like you further their career. I think most people are open to it.
And then we had a question, what advice would you give to recent graduates that are unsure what career path to take?
I think it goes back to the conversations earlier about resume writing and experience, and maybe volunteering in an area that you feel you might like. And sometimes what you find, like Felix said earlier in his presentation, you volunteer and you find you don't like it. And so it moves you into a different direction. So I think just having the courage to go out and finding some time to spend with people and areas and sectors will help you move your path. I was going to be a medical doctor, so people don't know that about me. I had a plan to go to UCR, graduate in biology, and then transfer to UCLA. I told you earlier I dropped out. And so when I got into the public sector, that moved me in a whole different direction, which I'm still working with people and helping people. But at the end of the day, it wasn't what I thought I was going to do. So I think that many times in our lives, we're going to have these thoughts and ideas, and it changes us in a different direction.
Yeah. Right. I'm gonna, you know, try everything, explore, take on different types of internships. Look at a lot of, you know, take your time to discover who you are, what your passions are, and but, you know, give yourself a time frame, though. I mean, you don't want to get wonderfully lost, right? You want to go ahead and make sure, you know, you gave yourself some time frame, because you got objectives, right? But take your time, explore. You have the opportunity to take some risks, which is why I try to build safety nets around you wherever you can, and just try everything.
Yeah, I think, especially if you don't know, you're uncertain about what job should I apply for. I don't know what I want to do even after I have my degree. It's if you don't know, write down, and this is what I did, write down in a list of what do you like? And if there's no job out there for you, create it. I think we're in a generation and in an era where if the job isn't out there, we can create it. We have that liberty. There's so many platforms that we can express ourselves in that we can start creating the jobs of the future. And then maybe you can present that to a business that maybe it's a need that they didn't even know that they wanted or that they should need.
I also think that it's good to realize that you are not likely going to end up in the first job you land. And so when opportunities present themselves to do something that maybe you hadn't thought about, especially if they scare you, that's when you know you should do it. Those are always the nuggets that lead you to good places. So don't be afraid, just try it.
Yeah, that is awesome advice. I love all of that. I especially love the try everything, because I think I pretty much did that as an undergrad, and just lots of internships. My resume was a hot mess. I think I had about 10 jobs in those 4 years. But it was so good because I learned something at every step. And again, not everyone's path is going to be the same, you know, even with the examples that we provided today. But it's exciting. You know, we're excited to hear about what journeys you're going to take. So I want to transition is to just share that we do have a Latino Alumni Mentor Program, so LAMP for short. So you can email us at this email address so that you can get matched up with a mentor. You know, it just depends on your industry and needs and interests. And then my contact information there is available. Please feel free to reach out to me. If our presenters would like to share their contact information, you're welcome to do so here in the chat. I also wanted to, Felix, I don't know if you received my email, but I sent you a flyer. I have a shameless plug that I want to share with you, because on August 3rd, our Career Center is actually going to be hosting a conversation with me, actually. And we're going to be talking about networking in a virtual environment.